Hello, YouTube friends. Ben here. Thank you for tuning in. Today's topic is understock or overstock. Which way do you go? There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Let's talk about them, and then you tell me what you think in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. So as you know, recently this tank, not entirely intentionally, went from being what could be considered a heavily stocked tank to a very lightly stocked tank. And you can see in my previous videos why that occurred, which I'm not going to get into right now, but let's just say that as far as a 135 gallon tank goes, you would call this relatively lightly stocked. So I started listening to recent changes that have gone on in the mind of a lot of influential fish keepers, and I think if you looked at tanks that are currently owned by fish keepers that we admire, Evan Alexander, Paul the Inventory King, people like this, you would say without any real hesitation that their tanks are certainly not overstocked. You would probably call them very lightly stocked tanks. And so I started thinking about that. I mean, these folks know what they're doing. They're not amateurs. They've been at it for a while. And yet they seem to have moved away from the idea that you hear spread around that a cichlid tank needs to be overstocked to spread aggression. I have been hearing that for years. I'm sure you've heard it too. But is that true, and what are the trade-offs? As far as tanks go, you would probably consider this 60 gallon overstocked. There's probably, I don't know, 20 fish in here. I mean, granted, they're juvies, so the impact they're having on the tank is relatively small, but you know, it adds up, and they are putting on size and growing, and in doing so producing a lot of waste. As far as my tanks, this would be the one that you would consider, you'd certainly consider this one the most heavily stocked. And this one sort of sits in between the two. This one you would call moderately stocked, even though over time, if I don't make some changes and move some fish around, you will consider this one overstocked. I have 3 buccochromis, Notitanias in here. I have a Malawi gar. I have an eye biter. These are fish that are going to take on a lot of size. The white lips will get pretty big, but the Tanzania, the star sapphire, which you see right there, you can get over 10 inches. Well, the legend has it, the theory is that in an overstocked tank, you're going to be spreading aggression. And as a result, no single fish is going to get singled out and killed. And so that is suggested very often with cichlid tanks. But with that, with the overstocking, comes the high bioload and the stress that will be produced by having things like high nitrates and the requirements of additional maintenance that comes with having a heavily stocked tank. So you sort of pick, is the stress of aggression, or is the stress of constantly having to meddle around with the tank, to vacuum, move things around, clean all the detritus out, because these fish can certainly produce tremendous amounts of waste depending on how much you're feeding them. Is that going to be more stressful than perhaps having a more lighter stock tank and having an occasional chase, but the reduced bioload not creating water parameters that can be stressful for the fish? What are your thoughts? What do you think? These Nimbochromis can be a little lazy, I've noticed. They like laying around. Look at this guy. He gets under that power head and just lays there. And when he gets out of there, the Taiwan reef takes his place. My Nimbochromis, I think, are some of the laziest guys around. But of course, as you know, that's how they hunt. By laying around and waiting for some unsuspecting prey to swim by, and then they pounce. So let me know what your thoughts are below. Do you think a overstock tank is better, or do you think a lightly stocked tank is better? And tell me why. It's a balancing act, right? Perhaps you're spreading the aggression, but you're increasing the tank maintenance, the stress that comes from that, and the stress that comes from perhaps running your nitrates at a higher level on a regular basis. Now that Malawi hawk is trying to show some color here. Could turn out to be a male after all. We'll see. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Put your comments below. I look forward to reading them. Thank you so much. Well, there you have it. You can make a good case for either one. What are your thoughts on it? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below. Expand the conversation if you'd like at ben.o.cichlid, ben.o.cichlid, at the Facebook group page. And you can follow me on ben.o.cichlid on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're very appreciated, you know that. And that's it for now. Thank you.